Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining, whether you're here live or in the replay. Please let me know when you see this. If you're here on the replay, please let me know. I love to know kind of when people are joining me. And if you have any questions along the way, please drop those in there. Again, this is Cash Practice Training Tuesdays. We're here every Tuesday. And today I'm going to talk about a very key thing to know, an ingredient in your sales process, especially if you are in the niche where you are offering longer term plans of care, or your patients typically need a lot more care over a longer period of time. So your chronic pain niches, and in this case, this came up because of a question from one of my students in the mastermind group who's in pediatrics. It's been really cool. We've actually had an influx lately of pediatric PT and OT practices or practitioners in our cash practice mastermind. And her question was, there was a family that she did a free consultation with on Zoom, and their thing was, okay, I know the rates. I need to call my insurance and figure out what our true cost is going to be, what kind of reimbursement we can expect, and what our out of pocket costs are going to be. And her question to me was, what should I do to ultimately get them to work with me? And there's been, through the years, a big push for, adding steps into the sales process. Now that even in the non-cash pay world, right, even in where you're in an insurance-based practice or that you're in network, so many people have such high deductibles and high copays that their out-of-pocket costs, even staying in network, they've become more of a cash pay patient. There's just more on the line for patients these days financially than there used to be. And so whether you're in a cash-based practice or not, this applies to you as well. But this push of adding more steps into, instead of just, the receptionist picks up the phone and says, okay, yeah, we can help you. When can you come in? Okay, let's get you scheduled, right? Let me take your insurance information. That process has been expanded. You get them on the phone with a clinician, then you get them in, hopefully in person with a clinician for another free consultation. And then finally, they're at the point where they're willing and able to, say, yes, I'm willing to, whether in network or out of network, take this amount of money out of my pocket and give it to you for your services. And, it's been well established for a long time that decision-making processes when it comes to purchasing something or a service has about 80% of that decision is based on how well the person knows, likes, and trusts the person selling that service or that product. And so you couple that with the perceived cost. It's not necessarily the actual just number, but it's the perceived cost. Sometimes the number is quite low, and some people it's still perceived as like super costly. Sometimes it's a crazy high number, but that particular individual does not perceive it as super costly. But when the perceived cost is really high, and you're talking about a longer term commitment in terms of time and finances, then that idea of the person knowing, liking, and trusting you becomes even more important. You have to get them further in that relationship before they're going to be willing and able to say yes to what you're offering. If it's going to cost them, their perceived cost is high, you've got to take the time to do that. And so the key ingredient that I, gave to my student today and that I'm talking about here, and based on the title of, if you're selling a long plan of care, a longer term plan of care, you need to know this, is you need to be willing and sometimes purposely extend the sales process. Build in more touch points. Be willing to spend more time with them for free. Be willing to do a second or a third free consultation, starting on the phone, with your receptionist, then getting them on with with yourself or with one of your staff, a clinical, someone who can talk through them on a clinical basis, then seeing them in person. And if they're still hesitant, but those two pieces are in place, we know it's going to be a long-term client and it's a bigger commitment for this particular situation or for that person, then, maybe it's hey, let's do a discounted, full evaluation, but let's let you get more established with what we're doing here and how we're working and how we're going to get you back to XYZ, right? Their ultimate emotionally charged goal, making it about that always. But adding in the capability for the person to walk more, steps along that process with you before they say, yes, okay, let's do it. and not necessarily that they're buying, paying for a package or buying into the full plan of care, but just saying, yes, I understand this is going to be the rate, and I understand this is going to be a long-term process because I've had this pain for a long time, or, I'm dealing with something that's chronic or degenerative or whatever the case may be. And I think this is especially relevant to those in chronic pain, but also in pediatrics. I mean, here back at our house, we know that our kids are going to get, 5 sessions covered. Well, as long as insurance keeps covering it, covered a week. And then we're going to be cash pay for 5 plus more. We just got set up with Trexo Robotics. It's an amazing company that built robotics legs that fit into the kid's gait trainer. We just got it set up just this morning. It's $1,000 a month. And so, yeah, super high number cost, but we know the value. It has been proven to us through our therapy, and also because I understand therapy, and by that robotics company, with my interactions on the phone with them, online with them, seeing all the testimonial videos, the changes that we see in the kids, I'm like, yes, absolutely. No freaking brainer that this is going to be worth $1,000 a month to be able to put my kids in something that actually takes their legs step by step through a proper gait pattern, and it's, it connects to a tablet, and you can change all these factors of weight bearing and how much it helps versus how much they help. It's amazing. So, that's an example of that value, the likely value and likely outcome of what we want to see in our children, was sold well enough and over a long enough period of time where we were willing to say yes to a really high, sticker price. And I'll also say this, very much funded, or a big part funded by the wonderful generosity of so many people that help us out, with our GoFundMe for the kids. And that's also the reason that we were able to, get 5 additional therapy sessions a week for them on top of the 5 that are covered. So, it's not just about money. It's about perceived value and how much like or trust the person that's selling you on that service or product. And so with those things, you've got to implement that into your sales process. And when those stakes are higher, the financial stakes are higher, and they're going to be committing to much longer, you need to purposely add more steps and be willing to offer more free or more discounted up front to develop the relationship to the point that they're willing to really fully commit and say yes, because they know and like and trust you enough at that point to do so. Those who try to, push it and rush it in those situations, they're going to lose a lot of people that you could have helped, in the long run, and that would have been a huge help to your business. And I'm not a big person. I'm not big on give discounts, do this, do that, package, whatever. I'm just saying that if a discount is needed in the first few sessions, or you need to add an extra free consultation in the situations where they're not just committing to 3 visits to fix their ankle, but they're committing to a year plus of care, then you need to be willing to do that as a practice owner, and have your staff do that. Be willing to, to pay and budget for those kinds of things if that's the kind of niche that you serve. So not all plans of care are created equal. The decision-making process is different. And you need to consider that if you're in those niches where you're really working with people for long periods of time. If you appreciated this information, if you ever appreciate anything I put out there, please give me a like or a heart on this one. Share it with anyone that does longer plans of care, because I think this is really, really relevant. A lot of people lose business and lose the ability to help someone in a huge way because they're trying to rush the sales process that inherently should be longer because of what you're selling and who you're selling to. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.